Okay.
Hello there, health coaches. We are so happy to be here with you today. We're laughing because we just got a very small but important piece of technology to work. So we are live streaming. We're so glad that you could join us if you're here live with us. If you're listening later, hello. Today, we're going to be talking about coaching itself, not the marketing of, not the business of, but the actual act of coaching our clients. And we want to confront some of the top mistakes that are being made out there, and that, oh, trust me, I have made all of them myself. I want to talk about how to fix them. And for today's episode, I'm joined by Katie Caswell. Hey, Katie.
Hey, how are you doing, Michelle?
I'm doing great now. I
Yes.
feel like I could take on the world. That's what you get when there's a quick win. Oh, we should
Yep.
talk about those. Just a little coaching joke, you guys. So if you are here live with us and you have any questions as we go along, I do have my eye over here on the comment section, and I can see that Patricia's here and Winifred is here and Sunshine is here. She's meal prepping while listening. That is brilliant. I love it. Katie, can you give everyone just a little bit of background on who you are? You may already know Katie, by the way, you guys, because she is an admin inside of our Health Coach Power community group. But how much do you really know about Katie?
Yeah. So, been a health coach for, I don't know, 12, 11, 10, something like that. You stop counting after a while, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
I fell into health coaching after having a big life change myself. I lost like 120 pounds, saw the benefit of, feeding your body, paying attention to things rather than that whole Western medicine kind of thing. And it kind of suited my personality. People have always come to me with, how do I do this? How do you figure this out? And I think most of us in the health coaching community do have that kind of a background. We come from a place of empathy. We come from a place of wanting to, how did Mr. Rogers put it, be a helper. So that's where I'm coming from. And I've coached in a variety of scenarios. I coached for a very large health coaching company where I had a team of clients that were over 300. And I've done a lot of one-on-one sessions with a lot of clients over the past 10 years. I've worked in small groups, a little bit all over the place. I've helped out other coaches who are trying to, figure out exactly how this thing works. So I've seen a whole lot of growth and possibility. And what's that? NB, I'm certified,
You're
nationally
board
certified. I
certified
get
in
the
that thing.
initials wrong all the time, Michelle. I don't know. But
That's okay.
yes.
Everybody does. Every single person I talk to. So if you're someone who knows the initials, good for you guys, but nobody else does. Yeah. So you've got all the things. You've been coaching a long time. I've been coaching for 13 years. We got a lot to talk about today. And I also want to let you guys know that we are going to be hosting a free training to talk about the art of coaching, right? So we'll talk about what you might be doing wrong. And then we're going to talk about how to really do things the right way, including what to do during that first client session, right, Katie? That's going to be part of that training.
Yes, absolutely.
So if you'd like to sign up for that free training, you guys, it's coming up in a couple of weeks. You can go to healthcoachpower.com/art of coaching. And I'm going to drop that right here in the chat so you can click on it. Otherwise, if you're just listening, again, it's healthcoachpower.com/art of coaching. We want to help you master the art and build your confidence. The reason this came up as such an important topic, and by the way, like Diane saying, thanks for having this chat. Other people are saying this is a much needed conversation. I know. Meanwhile, if you think about it, we all went to school to become health coaches. We graduated. You would think, I thought that by the time I was done with school, I would know how to do this health coaching thing. But in fact, it's very scary. And I remember feeling like I don't know what to do at all. And that's what I'm hearing from so many of you, year in and year out, as all the health coaching schools keep graduating more coaches. No one seems to know what the heck to do during our sessions. So Katie, what's going wrong? Why do you think so many coaches are graduating and yet don't know how to do the thing?
Yeah, I had the exact same experience. I sat down for my first session to prep and I'm like, what am I going to do? Dug through all my IIN notes. I'm like, is there a format? What do I do? And I think just in life, we've become so accustomed to someone telling us what to do, whether it's in our job or through school. Here, the professor says, here, this is what I want you to do, or this is what I want you to hand in. We've kind of lost that ability. not to think for ourselves, but to say, yes, this is where I'm starting, and then this is what comes next. So obviously, I'm sure everyone's health coach school gave them an outline. This is how you should conduct sessions. Here are some handouts. Here are some ideas. Here are some things that you want to cover. Obviously, you want to get your people off sugar. You want to go to this healthy lifestyle, circle of life. There's all these things that they tell you, but they don't organize it for you. So we feel lost, and we sit down with our client, and in the back of our head, we think, this person expects me to know everything. I have to have every answer in the world. I have to be Google. Like, I have to be Google sitting in front of this person for 1 hour. And we can't do that. I mean, we can have Google if we're doing it remote. We can have Google over on the side. But we've lost that ability to say, hey, that's a really great question. I'm not sure of the answer. I'm going to get back to you on that one because I want to give you the right information. Or we've even lost the ability to question. Well, that's a really great question, but is it the question that you need an answer for right now?
Ah, I love that.
Right?
That is a coach's question, to not answer what they're actually asking. Oh my God. Okay. So if you guys who are here live, if you resonate with any of this, just tell us in the comments. Say, yeah, me too. Yeah, I've been there. Yep, I've been sitting in front of a client and wondering, am I even getting through to this person? Have they tuned out? What am I, just Google? Oh, it is so frustrating. And I hear variations of this all the time, Katie. So I know that we're speaking to a lot of the coaches out there. I just want to press on this a little harder. You said that, probably most people graduate from school with some type of outline. Did you guys get outlines? Did you? I mean, I'm not saying that you should. I'm just curious because I always assumed everybody got outlines. Sometimes I think you guys are graduating and don't get anything on how to actually coach clients because everyone's coming from different schools, right? And I don't have a list, but I should probably keep a list here of what everybody gets upon graduation. I know I had 12 session outlines given to me from IIN, which is where I graduated from in 2009. And they were hilarious. They were like, week 8, Ayurveda, week 9, blood sugar diet. And it's nothing like how I coach now. Okay, Deanne saying yes to all of this. Diane says absolutely. Winifred said the hardest part is getting started. Leanne said no outline, but they did practice a lot at Functional Medicine Coaching Academy. Jennifer says at HCI, they get outlines. So we're all coming to it with something. And yet there seems to be this giant gap between where we, are and like actually feeling comfortable just to show up for a client session, like no preparation. You just hop on the line with someone and be able to change their day or change their week or change their whole life. This is the power that is like in a really strong coaching relationship. So Katie, you said something already, and I want to circle back to it about feeling like we have to know everything. How many of you have felt like, I don't know enough? Just say it in the comments. I feel like I don't know enough. There's going to be like 100 people saying that because we all feel like we don't know enough. Like, yeah, we're supposed to just be like the walking embodiment of Google. So that's going to be mistake number 1, is thinking that we need to know everything. And Katie, you want to talk about that a little more?
Yeah. You don't have to know everything because you physically can't. And isn't that what we try and coach our clients on? No, you can't be perfect because you can't. You can't entirely give up sugar for the rest of your life and not have it snuck to you in the smallest little bit when your grandma comes and says, just eat this coleslaw for me. It's impossible to be perfect. So we're not going to be perfect. So when we sit down in a session, and whether you're sitting behind a camera or whether you're sitting across from a client, you have to lose that. You have to lose that feeling of needing to be perfect, of needing to know everything. And you're really doing your clients a huge favor if you're able to do that, because that's what you're asking them to do. You're asking them to let go of their preconceived notions and be open to learning, open to listening, open to taking the next step that they obviously don't know, because if they knew how to take the next step without you, they wouldn't be sitting across from you.
I
right?
think this comes up a lot. I'm trying to think of scenarios, like where this has happened to me. And one of the most painful ones for me in the beginning would be talking to a client and they mention that they have a certain condition that I have never heard of. So, could we just use that as an example?
Yes.
All
Yes.
right. So let's say we're in a client session and I'm the client and you're the coach, and I'm saying, well, my ulcerative colitis is really kicking up lately. And you don't know what that is. So how would you handle that?
Yeah. So I would ask them to tell me a little bit more about that. Diagnoses are great. Western medicine is phenomenal for giving us a title, a category, a classification. But what does it actually mean to you to have this condition? Because, we're misdiagnosed all the time. So maybe that's not even the right diagnosis, but I want to help you by knowing what ulcerative colitis means to you. What are you going through each day? How are you feeling? What would you like to change about how you feel? So titles and diagnoses are not particularly important,
Mhm.
but knowing how that diagnosis affects you, both physically and mentally. Are you now labeling yourself? Oh, I have ulcerative colitis, and Google tells me that, I have to make sure there's a bathroom around all the time. Like you become someone, you become your disease, right? So I love to pull people away from their diagnosis just from the get-go and just ask them how it affects them and how they'd like to change that, because that's what I can help them with as a health coach.
I love that. And honestly, every disease, condition, and that it's all just saying something is off. And I'm having problems, right? It's just at the heart of it, it's all the same. So, and when someone knows maybe there's things they quote should be doing for their health, but they're not doing it, it doesn't actually matter what the condition is or how they've been diagnosed. I think this takes a giant load off when it comes to everyone worrying about their scope of practice. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I hate seeing that. And I know that it's a big thing, and maybe it's because of liability, but don't go beyond your scope of practice. Someone has a client, they really want to help them, but they ask a question in a Facebook group maybe where they say, "How can I help someone heal their this?" And there's a lot of scope police, I call them, that just jump on and say, "Oh, we can't do that." But if you would simply rephrase the question, I have a client who's experiencing this, and I'm not really sure what their next step should be. You'd get 100 answers about how to help your client take that next step to feel better, to think of themselves as a different person. So I think a lot is in the labels and the titles where we get hung up.
Who said this? Leanne said, is it okay to flat out admit you don't know a diagnosis, but that you're going to check on it?
Yeah, I think so. I'm not really familiar with that. I think that my brother's sister's cousin's uncle had something like that. But if you tell me a little bit more about it, maybe that will register. I actually tell people that I try not to memorize disease names and what they are, because then that gives me a preconceived notion about how that diagnosed condition is affecting them.
Mm.
So like I turn that to my advantage. You know what? I don't know what that's called. I'm really not up on the names, but I'm really great with conditions. Tell me what you're experiencing. Let's move on from that. Let's move forward from that place. Just trying to shift their thinking the tiniest little bit.
I mean, and also you were right what you said earlier. So often someone's diagnosis isn't even correct or
Mhm.
complete or properly tested for. So I mean, it's kind of like who cares?
Yes.
It's just something's wrong. And how do you feel? And also, how are you feeling emotionally and mentally about it? Right? We help our
Right.
clients more than just with the straight up diagnosis or whatever itself, but all the stuff around it in
Yes.
our life and our feelings. Patricia's saying, I have spent lots of time on understanding information, then realizing I'm not a doctor and there's so much involved with a person's health, it scared me to make a mistake. Recently, I did an Enneagram profile and found out that I focused on minute details of my passion. Now I know that I don't have to know it all. Yes. And maybe it would be helpful to step back out of the minute details and look at the bigger picture.
Yeah. I think once you know that that's something you tend to do, you can both use it to your advantage. Okay, where can the minuteness help me in my health coaching? And also, am I doing that? Maybe I do need to step back. So that's a case where like knowing something, and I'm not 100% familiar with the Enneagram labels, but very helpful to know that this is something that you do and how it can help you and how you want to kind of move away from it when you need to.
So let's move on to mistake number 2, another one that I have surely made, and many of you have as well. And I feel like it's more and more prominent lately. I don't know what's happening at all the different health coaching schools, but Katie and I have discussed this at length. Everybody's graduating as a health coach thinking that they have become a health educator and that their role is to teach. Maybe this has to do with social media and being influencers and sharing, our expertise in that manner. But as actual coaches working with the client, Katie, you want to talk about the difference between being an educator and being a coach?
Yeah. I used to work at a small elementary school, and the principal was asking everyone in the office one day, "What do you think makes a great teacher?" And I gave her an answer, and actually I gave her the answer for what makes a great coach. And it's being able to speak to 30 people in a classroom, 30 people in a group coaching section, hearing what people need and responding to that. And that's coaching, right? Teaching is, I have this material. I need to put it together in a way that everyone is that's going to be pretty, that's going to be presentable, that's going to be well received, but there's no check-in about whether it's helping someone move forward. So I could do a really great presentation on the dangers of sugar, but if it doesn't help my client accept the fact that all the sugar that they're eating is a problem, or even if they've accepted that fact based on my presentation, if it doesn't help them make changes, then I've educated them. And that's great. That's a piece, that's a step, but I haven't coached them. I haven't helped them become their best self because they're still feeling like they're at the mercy of sugar, that the chocolate just calls to them and they don't have a choice.
And now they just feel worse about it.
Yes. Yes. Now I know all the problems about the thing that I thought was bad. Yep. And that's exactly, I feel like we do that sometimes, right? When we're only educating and we're not looking at the person in front of us. Everyone has a different path. Everyone's starting in a different place. So when you're coaching, you're listening to that. You're hearing where they are. And you toss in a little bit of education, right? So if someone says, "Oh, I know I eat too much sugar," and you ask them, "How much sugar do you eat? Why do you think you want to eat less sugar?" "Oh, you think you're going to feel better? Well, how about we try that?" "Oh, I've tried." "Well, what's gone wrong with that in the past?" Right? So there's a whole lot of back and forth and listening to what they're saying, not coming up with, okay, this is the best thing that I can tell them about sugar. Because maybe it is the best thing, but it's not the best thing for them. That individualization for your audience. That's a big part of coaching. That is not part of educating.
Right. It really is a different role. And so Patricia's saying, I like teaching and giving information. Oh, well, it's not that we can't or we don't. I definitely explain to my autoimmune clients why taking gluten out of their diet is really important when it comes to autoimmunity. There's a little bit of science that they have to understand, right? Yeah. But that's like 5% of our session, right? Because the more useful thing is now, what are we going to do with that information? How can that apply? What are the pitfalls? How are you feeling about this, right? And sometimes information is the opposite of coaching, right? Like we just said, if I tell you everything that's terrible about eating sugar, I've informed you. I have given you information. Now you feel worse. Now you feel like you should never do it. It might backfire. You might end up eating more sugar because you're feeling so restricted. Whereas I know, like, for example, with a lot of the clients that I work with in my private practice, they're like perfectionist type A women. And sometimes part of coaching them is going, so what, you ate some sugar. I want you to eat more sugar today. Like, it's not that big of a deal. We have to like help people with their behavior and their mental patterns, right? More than we have to teach them all the things.
Right.
So we have some comments coming in. I'm going to read them. Sunshine says, this is my issue. I started off going to school to become an educator and switched to health coaching, and I need to reprogram to be a partner and walk alongside the client instead of teaching and giving homework. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And nobody wants homework, right? If you tell someone that you're giving them homework, it's likely that they're not going to do it. And then we're like, why aren't my clients doing the things I told them to do? They're like, oh, it sounds like work. I don't want to do this anymore.
Your type A clients don't like the homework, Michelle? I feel like my type A clients, they do like that homework because they can check a box or they have a product. No? Or yours not like
They're
that?
too busy, right? It's like
Yeah.
one more thing that they're gonna like drop the
Yeah.
ball on because they're spinning so many things. Patricia says, I have 30 plus years as a trauma therapist. I have difficulty switching habits and mindset to coaching. I'm not sure what all those differences would be between being a therapist and being a coach, but there, like with teaching, there's going to be some overlap and there's going to be some things that are not overlapping in those two roles, right?
Yeah. I guess what I would just quickly want to ask those two ladies is, have you ever been coached? Have you ever hired a coach so that you could be on the other side of it so that you can spell out the differences for yourself rather than reading in a book? Oh, this is what I have to stop doing from an educator. And like, have you ever been coached? Like, that's a question.
That is a good question for everybody, even insofar as that whole belief that no one's ever going to pay me for this. Well, have you ever paid anyone for this? It's a
Yeah.
good way to shift the energy around a lot of things in your coaching practice to hire your own
Yes.
coach. So I'm going to move on to mistake number 3. But before I do that, I want to remind you guys that we do have a free training coming up in just a couple of weeks called Master the Art of Coaching and Build Your Confidence. And you can sign up for free to learn more from myself and from Katie at healthcoachpower.com/art of coaching. Got a couple people saying, I've never had an experience being coach, or Diane says, I'm about to sign up with the coach. It's a great way to learn. I think it will be.
Yes.
I really do.
Yeah.
So what was that example earlier, Katie? We were just riffing and then I said, oh, that's such a good question because the question that they said something and then you didn't answer. Now my mind is blanking. What happened, you guys? There was something that we just said a few minutes ago where Katie didn't answer the client's question and instead came back with like another question, right? Is that the question you really need to be asking right now is what you said?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So like, let's pretend again that I'm the client and I'm like,
Yeah.
what are all the things that have gluten, Katie? Tell me that information. And then maybe you turn that around and ask me like,
Yeah.
really
So I would say, you know what, there's a million resources out there that are going to identify. I'd rather spend our time maybe talking about what you're most concerned about. Is there something that's in your diet that you think might contain gluten that you're getting a little nervous that you might have to give up? Right. So then that personalizes it. I'm not saying I'm not going to tell you what has gluten in it, but I mean, I can spend half an hour reading a list off of Google and they could spend the time the same doing the same thing rather than paying me to read for them.
Right. So what they're asking, what has gluten in it? And what you're hearing
Yes.
as a coach is, I have some concerns. I may have some
Yep.
specific concerns. And so this brings us to mistake number 3, which is all about, are we really listening? Are we listening to what our clients are saying? And are we listening to what they're not saying?
Right.
How else does this come up?
Well, I mean, I think that was a great example of what they're not saying. They're not saying, I'm nervous, I'm scared. And depending on how long you've been working with someone, they could be really hesitant to say those words to you. This is someone I just met, and this is a super deep fear that not even my husband, brother, sister, mother, daughter knows about. So why am I going to tell a stranger that I'm concerned that I can't have pasta Fridays? Right. So the not hearing what they said. But as far as the listening, and people do this when they're like at a party and they're nervous about the conversation. They spend a lot of time forecasting in their head. Okay, well, when it's my turn to talk, I've got this great story about this. And by the time it's their turn to talk, they haven't been listening and they don't know that the conversation has moved on. So I think as health coaches, we do that. Okay, I don't want there to be silence on my health coaching call because radio silence is bad. They're going to think I don't know what I'm talking about. So rather than take a second to gather thoughts, we're trying to figure out what's going to fill that space. And we miss something. We miss something that the client has said, or we miss something that they specifically don't say. So if you say, how was your day? oh, it's great. I went to the coffee shop and I didn't eat the blueberry muffin. And, then I went to work and it was really, stressful. And there were a lot of stressful things that happened. And then I went home. Okay. So why are they telling me they didn't eat the muffin? And what
Yep.
happened at work that they're not telling me about because they rushed through that. So in my head, I'm thinking something probably happened at work and they want me to praise them for not eating the muffin. And I'm not really quick to praise people because that's not my role. I don't want people to become dependent on my praise when it's their praise. So I might ask them how they felt about skipping the muffin. And then they might say, "Oh, I felt so good," and da 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 da. And but then that kind of turned bad because when I went to work, and I know I didn't mention it before, but someone brought in pizza, and damn, I had the pizza, right? So by listening and hearing what wasn't said and the like what was the reason behind them calling out this particular muffin, and not just saying, because maybe as a young health coach, I might have said, "Oh my gosh, you didn't eat the muffin. That's so amazingly great. Congratulations. I'm so proud of you." And then they might be really embarrassed to say that they ate the pizza. So then we lose that whole opportunity to talk about, did you have something else for breakfast? Or did you just have the skinny mocha latte, or the non-fat decaf, whatever it was? Because maybe they're hungry and that's why they had the pizza because they didn't have something, So figuring out where people are coming from, what things are going through their head, what they've learned in the past, and what you have to kind of break down. I feel like that is a big part of practicing coaching. Practicing, oh, where did I go wrong on that one? Wow, that session, I thought it was going really great. I was giving them all this pat on the back and they were feeling great. And then they left and then they canceled. So we miss that opportunity to give them what they need because they're trying to hide it from us because they want us to be proud.
Yes. And I mean, maybe this is going to be more true for some people than others, but I think that's a really good point. People are always
Yeah.
going to try to tell you what they think you want to hear,
Yeah.
or what's going to make them look good. Right. And being able to just kind of hone in and say, what's up with that muffin thing? It's such a small detail, but worth asking about. And I wanted to also add to that, that sometimes I'll notice what they're not saying, less about what the words are or aren't, and more about how they're communicating. So there have been times that a client just unloads like diarrhea of the mouth on me, blah, 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 and they've told me about 500 facts about their day. And it's really useful for me to kind of breathe and reflect back. I notice you're talking extremely quickly. How are you feeling?
Yes.
And that has nothing to do with anything that they just shared with me,
Right.
but we can do that as a coach. We can flip the script. We can reflect back what we're hearing, what we're feeling. Like I'll even say, I'm just getting this vibe right now. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm getting a vibe that, and then I just say what I think I'm feeling, and I just kind of drop it there. And then we just can play with that for a while.
Yeah.
So there's so many ways to have these conversations. We have a couple questions coming in, but we're running a little short on time. So one more time, I want to remind you that we have a webinar coming up in a couple of weeks to talk about the art of coaching. You can sign up for that at healthcoachpower.com/art of coaching. We're also doing part 2 of this topic next week here on the show. And we're going to be hitting on more specific examples that health coaches are making during client sessions. So if this has been useful, join us same place, same time next week, and we're going to go through more of these. But let me take like 1 or 2 questions for today. Leanne was saying, how do we feel about taking notes during the session? Leanne says that she does it in practice better while on video. What are your thoughts on that, Katie?
Oh, so many questions, so much right in there. So this is something that I do want to mention. I do not always do a video call with my clients. And I know, Michelle, you do not either.
Mm-hmm.
There are times, especially in the beginning, where I want them to see my caring gaze and and to connect visually. But I have found that clients are way more likely to tell me something if they don't have to look me in the eye. So a Zoom call without video, a telephone call, those are very, very helpful. Um, but as far as taking notes, I take a lot of notes. I do it with a pencil. I don't do it typing. Um, I have had clients who seem not happy that I'm not okay with that. And sometimes I'll say, yep, I'm just taking some notes because I don't want to forget anything about this. I don't like recording calls because I think people are guarded. So I do like writing down what I think is important. So I will encourage them to take notes as well. Um, I tried doing the typing thing at one point and I found it distracting to me, distracting to the client, and I wanted to get all the words. And I don't think getting all the words is very useful. I think the things that you're compelled to take notes on, those are the important things as you see them. I also like asking the clients to take notes so that they write down the important things as they see them. And then I'll ask the clients to share that with me. And a lot of times they're not the same, but that's a window for our next call, for our next conversation. So finding something that works for you is important, but I do think you have to know your client and how they're reacting to it as well, Leanne.
And as a good follow-up question to that, Sonia's asking, do you send summaries? So you were mentioning that, and I really like this idea of making clients responsible for themselves.
Yes.
And one way that we do that is encouraging them to write down the things that they're going to do. They can write down the name of the book that you just said off the top of your head. I'm not going to spoon feed it to them because there's going to be a day I'm not here to do that, right? And they need to take responsibility. So with that, I know summaries at the end of the session can, first of all, take up a lot of extra time. I literally never do them. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but that's my truth. What about you, Katie?
Yeah, I don't summarize what we've talked about. I've encouraged clients to take notes. I am taking notes and they do know that. I will, if something has come up organically during the course of the conversation that they want to do, I will at the end say, okay, so from what I got from today, I think this, and I will call it homework. My clients are good with that. They like having a little task in front of them. So I'll say, sounds like you wanted to practice drinking more water. Does that sound like a good homework assignment? And you can report back to me if you want to. You can put it, and I do use Practice Better as well. And I will offer a task. I'm like, do you want me to send you a task every day about the drinking more water? But summarizing our whole conversation, no, I only do 30-minute calls. So there is no time for that. We get to the meat of everything. And then it's up to them if there's something that they don't think was covered or that they want to underscore to get back with me for that.
Katie, thank you so much for joining us today to just start dipping our toe into this topic. There's so much more to talk about. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next week to talk about a few more of these mistakes so that we can all become better at this craft that we are able to make such an impact with if we're doing it the right way. So this is very exciting. We're glad you're here. We'll see you all next week.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.